I'll call the Tuesday, December 9th, 2014 Committee of the Whole to order at approximately 5:39 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Here.
Councilman Burgess?
Here.
Councilman Maldonado? Here. Councilwoman Faircloth?
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Here.
Mayor Porter?
Here. Any additions, deletions, deferrals? None? At this time, before we get started in the presentation, I'd like to, if the council members have not met Stephen Scott, the new CRA director, I'd like to acknowledge him in the room tonight. Welcome aboard. Congratulations. Thanks for being here. I'm sorry.
There we go. Thank you very much. My first time on the.
We just want to make sure you know how to turn the microphone on. So. Congratulations. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Tab 1 is a presentation on internal audit status.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, you have representatives from McGladrey, which are your internal auditors. You have Kathleen Thomas Beck and Jill Reyes to give you a brief presentation on the status of the internal audit.
I don't think your microphone's on there.
Well, apparently we all have microphone problems. Now, there we go. Kathy Thomas Beck with McGladrey, and we serve as the outsourced internal audit function for the City of Homestead. And with me is Jill Reyes, who is the project manager for the internal audit function. What we would like to do tonight is just give you a brief update on the status of the audit, and this would be our annual update regarding the outsourced internal audit function. We completed 3 audits according to the approved audit plan over the last 12 months. Those audits were included in your packets that you received, I believe, last week, where we completed an audit of development services as well as payroll and human resources. We worked with the departments as well as with city management to review our observations and to work through action plans responding to the various recommendations that we made to them. They included those within the report, and they've outlined a timeline and a person responsible for each of the recommended actions. We are satisfied with the actions that the management is taking in response to that, and we will be conducting follow-up during this fiscal year on those actions. The other thing we would like to do is just give you an update on the audits that we will be conducting during this fiscal year. And again, they are in accordance with the audit plan that was previously approved. So I'm going to have Jill Reyes give you that update.
Good evening. Just as a reminder of the approved audit plan, we presented to you a 3-year plan last fiscal year, and the 3 audits that are on plan for this year, as well as the next one that will go into 2016 for the next 12 months rolling, include construction management, information technology, grants management, as well as parks cash management. We have already conducted the initial planning and scoping meeting related to construction management. We're working with the city's outsourced project managers, since you have several projects in the queue for this next fiscal year and ongoing, and we met with city staff as well as the construction and project manager firm earlier this week, and we're moving forward with that in the coming calendar year. We're going to start working on that testing, and we're planning the information technology audit as well. And those are the 4 projects that we plan to begin and complete within the next 12 months.
Any questions from council? So you're satisfied with the city's response to the recommendations that you're making as far as the process and their response to what you're suggesting?
Yes, and we should just note that all of the department heads as well as the executive top city management has been very embracive of the process, as well as how they responded to observations and really asking and embracing that process improvement and working with us to get through that process. So I think we're going to see a good outcome from the audits and as we go forward within the process.
Okay. I was just wondering, Mr. Cordino didn't show up from Development Services, so I maybe thought he was a little afraid of the outcome of tonight.
I
He
know
said I
his-
had his back, so.
I'm sorry?
He said I had his back. so.
You had his back? Okay, well, just, no, it's good, because I think Development Services is an area where we need some improvement, and I read through what your suggestions are and wholeheartedly support, the outside eyes. We seem to kind of get stuck in a rut sometimes, and so it's good to get a fresh set of eyes looking at what we're doing, so we get a much better process on the table, so, for our residents. So I appreciate that, and don't hesitate to tell us what we need to do to improve.
The Development Services prepared, as you'll note, a very lengthy, very thoughtful response to our recommendations, and put a higher level view, looking at it holistically, rather than addressing each individual observation and saying, how can we make this better? And they've been very cooperative and really interested in what we see out there at our other clients. And so I know Mr. Cordino's phone number by heart, and I don't know if he knows mine, but we had a really good rapport back and forth, and they've already made a lot of changes, and we'll work on following up on those in this fiscal year.
Okay, if there's any comments, any questions from council, if not,
I just,
Ms.
sorry,
Fairclough?
I'm supposed to press that. I just
No,
had
they're fine, I'm sorry. Go right
Question.
ahead.
As a result of the recommendations that you provided to the department heads and their responses to those recommendations, you briefly touched upon it now. Do you go back to ensure that the recommendations and their plan of action is carried out for that checks and balances?
Yes, so as we move forward through each fiscal year, we will be doing a look back as each audit that we have completed, and based on the timing of when they believe they would execute on those actions, we will then go back and verify that. So we do that about semi-annually in looking back at those follow-ups, and then we will give you a report that tracks the progression, and we will also alert you to any recommendations that have fallen behind, or the action plan that has fallen behind.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, now, do you need any direction from council? I know that there's...
No, Mayor, as indicated, we have met with McGladrey recently, and we know where we're going as we go forward for 2015.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, and thanks for what you're doing for Homestead and for our departments. And we will move on to tab 2, staff report, management.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Waldman respectfully requests Mayor and Council consider adopting the attached resolution for the renaming of Southeast 4th Street to American Legion Way. A resolution is attached requesting to co-designate Southeast 4th Street between US 1 and Chrome Avenue as American Legion Way in honor of the City of Homestead American Legion Post 43. American Legion Post 43, located in the City of Homestead, was chartered nationally on August 1st, 1920, and in the state of Florida on August 10th, 1920. American Legion would like to hold the ceremony for this name change on August 1st, 2015, their anniversary, as an event leading to their centennial. The cost to replace the signs is $550. The funds to purchase the sign will come from the city manager's office.
Ms. Waldman?
Is there someone here? Yes. Please come forward. I'm sorry, Mayor. I think it's better that he speaks first.
My name is Wayne Shore. I'm the past post commander, and I'm the one that spearheaded this.
Just talk right into that microphone so we can hear you.
Can you
We don't have the best sound system.
hear me now?
Yes, better.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Wayne Shore. I'm the past post commander of the American Legion Post 43 in Homestead. I'm the one that kind of spearheaded this project. We're coming up on the 100th anniversary of the American Legion in 2019, and I thought it would be nice to recognize the American Legion as the first veterans organizations in Homestead. And of the 15 chartered members, they are basically the Homestead. They are Homestead. That's what Homestead started, was all these veterans coming back. And with the help of Councilman Waldman, this is where I'm at right now. Also, like what was said, the August 1st was our national charter. So I'd like to try and gear it towards that in 2015. I don't know.
And that's good.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I just wanted you to speak from your heart and say why you wanted it. You know, for me, it's very important, you know, because I come from a military family and my dad was disabled most of my life that I can remember. So, from his war wounds. So it's very important to me. And we also have the VFW too, which we'd like to eventually make that little section of the road Veterans Way because in honor of the VFW. I should have probably included both of them on this car, but we've had a really busy, the last busy week or so, so I neglected to do that, but I'm sure we can take them one at a time. But I really would encourage my colleagues to consider my request and the request of the American Legion, and to keep in mind that I will be coming to you for the VFW as well, for Veterans Way. I think it's very important that our city respects and honors our veterans. You fought the hard fights, and we really appreciate it so very, very much.
Right, and our post is named John G. Sally, which is a veteran that was killed in World War I from South Dade County. I'm not sure Homestead, but I know in South Dade County. I'm working on his history right now. But basically, I wanted to start this. I don't know how long the process would take, so I figured hopefully less than a year.
Yeah.
So,
it takes a little while. Upon our recommendation, it goes to the county commission, and then the county commission will make their recommendation. I will contact our two representatives, Commissioner Daniela Levinkava and also Commissioner Moss, and I'm sure that we'll have their blessing if our council so chooses to pass this tonight.
Right.
We'll certainly have it done by your anniversary.
right, and by the same token, that way I can notify. We're set up in districts and by the state, so I can notify our commanders at the higher level that we're going to be doing this at this time.
Well, at this time, I wanted to offer my assistance and help, and I'll help with planning of your celebration, and contact the mayor's office and my fellow council and vice mayor's office, and I'm sure we'd all like to participate and help you plan, and we'll do everything we can to let it be known countywide what we're doing.
Definitely
And state, and whoever else you'd like for us to contact, we'll do that. But I'll have a private meeting with you.
Right,
and work
absolutely,
with you.
but I definitely appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
Thank
But
you.
now we got to vote.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we got questions from council at this point. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just a clarification. I support the code designation 100%. So my only question is from a staff side. I think I asked procedurally, do we have anything in place in our city as far as governing the naming of signs after individuals, organizations, et cetera? And my understanding was that we do have a ordinance that was passed a few years ago, but that ordinance may not be as applicable anymore. So the only thing I would like to do is going forward, maybe readdress that, similar like we are with the fee waiver provision, just so we have some rules and criteria in place, so that as these requests come before us, we have some way of keeping some order and making sure there's not a proliferation of renaming of our streets. So this issue, I support 100%. I think this is a great thing. I think that it's a perfect fit. But just going forward, trying to get ahead of it before potentially additional requests come down the pipeline, it'd be nice to make sure that our procedures are in place so we have something to follow as a council, as a deciding body. That's all.
Just for clarification, the outdated procedures were enacted by a resolution, so you won't require a code amendment should you decide to move forward. It can be performed by a simple resolution.
However we need to do it, as far as just making sure that we establish it, whether it be by code or whether it's a separate resolution, just some guidelines and rules and procedures so that we can just make sure
And we
that
can bring
we're
that
making
back,
consistent
Vice Mayor.
decisions. Thank you.
Just for clarification, now this is the section between US 1 and Chrome Avenue on 4th Street,
Southeast 4th Street, correct.
Which runs...
That's where the corner of Southeast 4th Street and Chrome Avenue is where the American Legion is, and that is one of the entrances off Southeast 4th Street into the parking lot. So it's a small stretch of road. I'm not asking for the whole, Southeast 4th Street, just a section right there that ends at Chrome and Southeast 4th Street at the American Legion.
Right. Okay. Is there a motion to move this forward?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a
Mayor.
second? Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item, thank you, sir. Thank you very
We
much.
got it. We're done. We just
I'll
need
make
to
sure
go
the
to county.
procedure. Thank you.
Tab 3.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to accept the proposals submitted by Hazen and Sawyer environmental engineers and scientists for the development of the city's plan of compliance as required by the new consent decree with the Florida Department of Environmental Agency and the U.S. Department of Justice requiring the county to make changes to its sanitary sewer operating practices. Effective December 6, 2013, the county signed a new consent decree with the Florida Department of Environmental Agency and the U.S. Department of Justice requiring the county to develop a plan of compliance for the sanitary sewer collection systems. Hazen and Sawyer Environmental submitted a proposal to develop the city's plan of compliance in 2 phases. Phase 1, define and describe the required activities, procedures, and program along with the necessary personnel, equipment, supplies, and outside services contracts for a not-to-exceed amount of $176,340 budgeted in fiscal year 2015, and Phase 2, represent the staffing and funding plans needed to support the activities, procedures, and programs defined in Phase 1 for a not-to-exceed amount of $122,110 in fiscal year 2016.
Yeah, this is a county-signed decree. We really don't have much of an option, correct?
Correct.
It's kind of like we just got to pass this through. It's properly moved by Ms. Wellman. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Questions to the item? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 4.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution to reconfirm Resolution 2014-06-60 as adopted on June 18, 2014, supporting the Chrome Avenue Truck Bypass Alternate F and supplemented to expressly designate a bike corridor as specifically described in Exhibit 1. At the council meeting of June 18, 2014, a resolution was passed in support of alternate Route F for the Chrome Avenue Truck Bypass, addressing the community's concerns and mitigating impacts to the Chrome Avenue corridor. Although not expressly articulated, the intent of Resolution R2014-06-60 was also to designate a bike corridor specifically described as follows: Northwest 1st Avenue from Northwest 8th Street, Campbell Drive to Southwest 296th Street, which parallels State Road 997, Southwest 177th Avenue, Chrome Avenue, and Northeast 9th Court from State Road 997, Southwest 177th Avenue, Chrome Avenue to South Miami-Dade Busway, which parallels Campbell Drive.
Are there any questions from council? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. I guess to Mr. Brea, why do they not have it continue? We have a gap in the middle between the two, on the north-south and the east-west. They don't have it where they go all the way together. What do they propose the people are supposed to do in there?
Hold on a second, let me look over it.
It's missing one block from Chrome Terrace over to whatever that.
From Chrome Terrace to, that's along
Right, if you look at the
Campbell, right?
I'm
trying to look
goes
at the-
across Northeast 9th Court is the east-west corridor. And then it stops at Chrome Terrace and picks back up over at First Avenue, I guess. But there's no way for them to get from A to B.
Oh, because that particular section already has a bike path associated with it, so this is just connecting points that don't have a bike path. The whole idea of this, we can't,
So Northwest 9th Street already is designated a bike path.
there's already a bike path associated with that, according to the state. So the whole idea is to make it to make it continuous,
Okay,
in
well,
essence.
that would make it, okay. That
Yeah.
wasn't clear to me. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any other questions from council? Is there a motion? Is it moved and seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 5.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that the Maury Drive sidewalks, curb, and gutter repair bid be awarded to Metro Express, Inc., the second lowest bidder as the most responsible bidder for installation of sidewalks, curb, and gutters along Maury Drive. The total cost of the project will be $133,676.68. Homestead Concrete and Drainage is recognized as the lowest bidder based on the bid tabulation prepared and reviewed by the Procurement Department. However, they are deemed non-responsible in accordance with Section 1.14, rejection of bids, item D, number 6 and 7. The rejection of bid is due to lack of competency of bidder and lack of capability as shown by past performance. Considering customer service, responsiveness to city's concerns, cooperative problem solving, and recent performance on city projects as documented on file, the city recommends awarding the bid to Metro Express, Inc. as the most responsible bidder.
Questions from council? One question. Just kind of for the record, how long is a vendor on that bad list? Is there any, in this case, if Homestead Concrete wanted to try to get back in the good graces of the city, what is the criteria? Is there...
Through the assistant manager, there is really no time limit. Once again, procurement deemed them as unresponsive and unresponsible because of the issue they had with the billing with the city. But there is no time limit, unlike if we were to actually debar them. In that case, there would be a time limit, but that would impact them in other ways with other municipalities, and the city decided not to go that way.
Okay. Okay. Just wasn't sure what the process was, because I know in the past there's been mistakes that have been made and they've been rectified over time. So not suggesting that we should take a particular move right now, but just wasn't sure what the criteria was.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you. Along the same lines, Jerry, is there any steps that they would need to take to get back? Whatever happened in the past, whatever issues that they had, every organization, I think, has that. It happens. It happens to us all the time. As business owners, as the city itself, we make mistakes. And we always make an effort to get back and do things the right way. They are a Homestead company, and we definitely would like to see them back in good grace. And of course, when our kids get back, we put them on a progress report. What steps do we have that we could, go to them or have them go to you to start making amends if that's the case. Yeah, I know in the years past, we've had companies that we've been in lawsuits with since when I came in office back in '09, and it's nice to see these organizations that we've had issues with in the past, after everything's been resolved, are now back working and getting jobs, being able to bid, getting jobs. And we have to realize that those businesses do employ a lot of the folks that actually live here in Homestead. So I think it's very important. And so I'd like maybe a response or some steps or some type of action to help them, do we have something in place to help not only them but any other company that's fallen within that scenario, and to help them get back.
What we could do is meet with the department where the contract falls under, as well as with the manager's office, and actually determine or discuss what criteria we would need to go ahead and take place in order to let the vendor come back. So it's something we do have to discuss.
Yeah, but as of right now, there's no policy or there's nothing in structure in place other than because right now it's, I hate to say it, but it will always be like, well, if we feel like they're okay, then we'll give them a chance. But if there's something that we have in writing or steps, a process that helps that, then I think it's more effective rather than, well, let's see when we get back to them.
Okay, well, currently right now there is no process or steps to come back, but I'll definitely discuss it with the department in charge with the agreement and see what we can do.
Okay.
And obviously, recommendation from staff is just that. It's a recommendation to the council to go in a particular direction. They were, in this case, the lowest bidder, but there are extenuating circumstances. The council could choose to go with the lowest bidder, opposing, the position of recommendation from procurement. But in this particular case, my point was, whether there's a process or not, I mean, at any given time, the council can say, yes, we want to go with the lowest bidder, or we want to go with the second lowest bidder, whatever the case may be, based on the criteria that this council sets up. So my only point was, you know, if we constantly reject a vendor because they made a mistake or did something incorrectly, at some point in time, maybe a chance should be given again, and that's the direction that this council obviously decides. I'm certainly not suggesting at this particular point to do that. I think what Mr. Maldonado is suggesting is maybe there's a process that you internally decide to do in your checks and balances before you bring a recommendation to the council, but just there's got to be some way to recommend or to rectify what could have been an honest mistake, or maybe in some cases not an honest mistake. But Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. And could I get my memory refreshed as to why they were deemed unresponsive and not a good vendor?
If I recall correctly, it had come to the city's attention regarding some irregularities in billing. The city went ahead and did 2 independent audits, at which point they determined that the city had been billed for over $107,000 in work that had not been done. We actually went to the vendor, tried to resolve the issue, and unfortunately they were uncooperative. So at that point, we deemed them as unresponsive and unresponsible.
So we have gone to them and given them an opportunity to rectify, I guess, the situation at some point in the past?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Are there any final comments? Is there a motion to move tab 5?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 6.
Staff recommends that mayor and council approve and amend the appropriations for departments within the general fund for fiscal year 2015 budget as per attached Exhibit 1. The total budget for general fund will not be affected. Negotiated union contracts with the police bargaining unit employees is expected to result in the implementation of a 3% cost of living adjustment. This COLA would be retroactive to October 1st, 2014, and would also apply to all non-bargaining unit city employees. The city is still in negotiations with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. The fiscal year 2015 budget was approved with money set aside in various contingency accounts to provide funding for this item. In the general fund, the money for the COLA was set aside in the General Administration Department's contingency account. These funds must be transferred to each general fund department as noted in Exhibit 1. According to Florida Statute 166.241, Section 4A, appropriation for expenditure within a fund may be decreased or increased by motion recorded in the minutes if the total appropriations
Or not exceeded.
Questions from council? Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Tab 7.
Staff recommends that mayor and council authorize the city manager to submit the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as presented. The city of Homestead receives a Community Development Block Grant allocation each year from HUD. At the end of each grant cycle, the city is required to prepare the CAPR and make it available to the community for public comment.
Questions? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Did you get that, Madam Clerk? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Tab 8.
Mayor,
Sorry?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Can this be opened up or just for public hearing? It needs to, in case there's anybody from the public that wants to comment on it.
No, we already passed it. I'm kidding. Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone who would like to ask questions or comment on tab 7, Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. You okay now, Carlos? Okay. Tab 8.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that mayor and council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to purchase a 2015 Ford Explorer to replace existing fleet. The total purchase cost is $29,576. The purchase is budgeted for this fiscal year, 2014-15 Capital Improvement Project CPO 503.
Questions? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Tab 9.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to purchase a 2015 Ford T-350 transit wagon to replace existing fleet. The total purchase cost is $34,398. This purchase is budgeted for the fiscal year 2014-15 capital improvement project CPO 038.
Questions from council? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Tab 10.
Thank you, Mayor. The Prince Silverus is requesting that Mayor and Council authorize the city manager to approve waiver of usage of fees in the amount of $1,000 for the use of FICO Williams Community Center on December 19th and 20th, 2014. According to the city's code, Chapter 20, Section 20-11, fees and charges, the city council sets fees and has the right to waive park and recreational fees by a majority vote. Silas Silverus is a nonprofit organization. Prince Silverus is hosting their 10th annual Christmas dinner and toy giveaway to the needy, destitute children in the surrounding communities.
Questions from council? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. Is there anybody here from this organization?
My staff sent them an email and called them to make sure they attend for any questions that mayor and council had for them. I'm not sure if they're here.
Because my one question is, I don't mind helping, but they talk about the kids from Florida City in here more so than the kids and stuff in their letter than they do the kids of Homestead. So I'm a little concerned that maybe they're taking care of them. And then my second question is, how do they determine who they're going to invite and who they're not going to invite for their first day?
Mayor, council, that's one of the questions that we asked them this afternoon to give us something, and we did ask them to come to answer those questions, and I don't see anybody here standing up for it. To give you a little feedback, the last time they were using the FICO Williams was 2007.
Yeah, I tried to recall this particular event, and I couldn't recall it. I don't know, maybe Councilwoman Waldman does. She was around then, or the mayor. I think you were.
I draw a blank.
Okay.
Let me get,
Thank you. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor and then Ms. Waldman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's actually the same concern that Councilman Burgess just raised, and that is my question is, how do they determine, although it's a free event, although it seems like it's for a very good cause and providing a good service, the question to me is, how are they picking who gets these tickets? How are they picking who gets to attend? Is it organizations? Is it a lottery system? Those are questions that I would want to have answered before I'd feel comfortable granting the waiver.
Vice Mayor, to answer the question again, like we said, we notified them right away to make sure that they would come here tonight. We told them it was very important, especially if you're asking for a waiver fee. There might be some questions that have to be answered.
Ms. Waldman.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I think it's very important that when we waive fees that people are represented. Sometimes with the religious groups, they have conflicts where they can't be here, but otherwise they usually should let us know. And we would respectfully ask that we receive back a text or an email or something, because it leaves us standing here trying to tell you why you should allow this. It's appropriate now that I tell you that we have had quite a lengthy meeting, Kate and Dennis and George and I, trying to come up with a way to solve the problem of, everybody asking for things. And based on the last meeting, it became quite apparent that we weren't going to please. Everybody had a different idea and a different way of looking at things. So we are working on that process. We're coming up with what we consider the signature events, and then we're trying to research, and I ask that you give us time, because it takes time, and especially over the holidays, to contact all the other cities. I will tell you that most cities throughout South Florida, right, Dennis? Dade County, particularly, and South Florida, they do not waive fees. They have a price, a very nominal price for a nonprofit, and then they have a regular price for a regular organization. The nonprofit price could be $100, or whatever this council deems it to be, but they do not waive fees. But we can waive fees for the signature, like the rodeo, the Veterans Parade, the Martin Luther King Parade. You know, we can set that aside. But for the time being, we have to deal with this. I have no answers for Mr. Burgess. I can't remember them. Do you remember, Dennis?
No, Councilwoman, I do not remember.
What was the date again?
2007 in their letter.
I mean, I really can't, I have no clue. But I agree with Mr. Burgess that, you know, this particular organization talks more about Florida City than it does Homestead. I don't know if that should make a difference or not, but it's up for the council. We're going to have the same problem, if you don't mind, Ms. Kate, our Assistant City Manager. We're going to have the same problem because I don't think there's anybody here from the temple for the menorah lighting, or is there in the next tab? So we're gonna, and of course I have my rodeo people right there in the audience, so we know they're always there. But you're gonna be dealing with the same situation. I will say that the menorah lighting has been a tradition. We've been doing it, and even though it's from a temple, a Shabbat in Cutler Bay, it's the only menorah lighting that we have. I would recommend next year that we possibly, like, other cities do have the Christmas tree lighting and the menorah lighting at the same time, so we have both of them lit up. That's what most cities do. But we've been doing a lot of research, and so I don't know how you feel about it. I'm anxious to hear. Rodeo is another thing. I mean, that's kind of a, we all agree, I think, on that. But all I can tell you is I don't ever remember this group. I wish they had been here tonight. The menorah lighting, I think it'd be a shame to cancel that because they're planning on...
I'll pay for that.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. I think it's $200.
Okay.
That'll be taken care of.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. But, so I don't mean to talk about all three things out of order. Please forgive me, Mr. Attorney. But it's important that I say what I say because, we deal with it and it makes it very difficult. So I can take one at a time, I guess.
Well, one thing I'd like to say about the not-for-profit, and there's a lot of not-for-profits that have people making six figures in their organization. So for us to quantify everybody and say, okay, well, if you're a not-for-profit, and we'll waive fees for you, we have to take them on an individual basis because there are a lot of not-for-profits that make a lot of money and pay their staff and their workers and their presidents and CEOs a ton of money. We're a small city. So I think, to say that there's an umbrella that says if you're a not-for-profit, we're going to do something for you, I think is a misstatement by us as a council. So I think we take them on an individual basis, as a need-to basis, and we do our own internal analysis. And there's no cookie-cutter model that says that anybody walks into this room is going to get a fee waiver. And when you take into consideration, most communities do not. And at the end of the day, when you talk about the numbers of people that they're going to put into this facility, it's a huge amount of people that are going to have, considerable wear and tear on that facility. So, they're not here to state their case. They're an out-of-state, not-for-profit, don't know anything about them. Are we going to benefit as a community? I don't know. Like you said, most of the conversation is about Florida City kids. So, wherever we go, it's going to be the will of the council. I just think that to blanketly put a cover over and say anybody that's a not-for-profit deserves a fee waiver, I think we should back off of that. So, Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. I would make a motion that we deny this tonight, and if they want to try to come to the council meeting next Wednesday night and bring some stuff, because I've got questions. What are they going to do for security? I mean, if they've got 300 kids that are invited and 400, 500 show up, what are they going to do? So I want to know what their plan of action is down there and how what their thought process is of how they're going to take care of everything. So I would make a motion that we deny it tonight And if they want to come on Wednesday, then I would be willing to listen to them next Wednesday.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second for a motion to deny? Okay, there's a second. Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yeah, just a real quick comment, just to kind of echo some of the comments I guess you and Councilwoman Waldman stated, and that is regarding the future of the fee waiver program. You know, I'm very supportive of a no waiver policy. I think that solves a lot of these problems because, you know, for me, it was always about just creating a rule so that if they were not-for-profit and they stood before us and told us how great their mission was or what they were accomplishing, now we're subjectively choosing which ones are better than others. And I think that's where the fairness factor for me is a problem. And where if you do a no waiver process and you have a set fee for all not-for-profits, you're no longer having to go through that and be subjective. You can be very fair across the board, you know, and then have our carve-outs for those community events that have been part of our fabric of our community for years. You know, that really helps solve the issue. I'm open to other things in between, but that's an easy way to make sure that it's fair across the board and everyone's treated equally. So just a comment for that going forward.
Ms. Waldman, then Ms. Faircloth.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond. I'm so happy to hear both of what you're saying because that's what we came up with in our meeting. And even though we say we stick to that no waiver of any fees, we also should allow ourselves to have the flexibility. As the mayor said, just because they're nonprofit doesn't mean that their fee should be a certain amount. So I mean, we should probably, you know, we'll work on that language, but I'm really glad. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the feedback.
Ms. Faircloth?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As it relates to this particular agenda item, I understand and respect the concerns from my colleagues, and I share them, but certainly we don't want to discourage anyone from spreading goodwill in the community. And in further reading this and considering they're out of town, did we give them the option to call in, to be able to answer questions? Because I'm not sure if they would want to fly in from out of town to be a part of this meeting to answer questions and fly back. There's a cost associated with that.
Councilwoman, my supervisor did call them and told them how important it is to be here in person because that was brought up last time that if someone's coming to waive fees, you need to be here in person because you're asking for, you know, a donation or fees to be waived, and they said they were coming. Like I said, we can ask them tomorrow if they can come Wednesday, and we can look at it that way. But like, we knew they were out of state, but as Parks and Rec, all we do is take their information and then bring it to the council to see if they want to waive it. And we do tell them, please come to be here to talk to them, and also if they have any questions to be answered.
Okay, thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
I don't think we should completely sink the ship. I think you had a great compromise that if we can connect with them by our next council meeting, that we'll be all amenable to hearing them and what they're going to bring to our city and to be able to answer questions. So thank you for that, Councilman John Burgess, to still keep the door open for us to have that conversation with them if they choose to wait that late, considering they want to proceed on December 19th. So we'll see. Thank you.
Ms. Waldman?
Yes, I couldn't agree more, you know, that we always leave the door open, and a phone call would be fine. You know, they could conference in with us, and that'd be absolutely fine. I think the thing that we're having a hard time with, Dennis and I, is that we kept offering opportunities, but they never got back to us, you know, so that's, we'll just have to wait and see whether or not, but Dennis, let's send another phone call, not even emails. Follow up with an email, but phone call, and encourage them to have a conference call at the council meeting, because we agree with you. We don't want to shut the door to anybody that's showing goodwill, but we have to have some communication, so. Thank you.
Okay, so based on the motion that's on the table now, it would move forward to the agenda as a denial.
Well, at this point, if you're going to move it forward to the council, you'd just be making a recommendation to council anyway. So you can move it forward to the council if you're going to give them the second bite at the apple, because the waiver was actually going to take place on Wednesday, not this evening. So if you don't want to close the door and you want to give them the opportunity, then the appropriate motion would be to move it forward to permit them to make their presentation to council on Wednesday. And if they show up, then you can address the issue then by voting yea or nay on Wednesday evening.
Because I guess my question would be, if it's not moved forward, it's not moved forward.
It's not, then you're closing the door to them.
Tonight.
Yeah.
So
if you would like to leave the door open, then the appropriate motion would be to move it forward to council, and you'll allow them the opportunity to then present their case. If that's your will,
okay.
Then that would be the appropriate motion this evening.
Vice Mayor, then Mr. Burgess.
Yeah, the only clarification, I'm okay with that. The only clarification, though, is that the way this normally works is all this would go on the consent agenda, and then one of us would then have to pull that item off the consent agenda to then address it with the applicant if they're here. So rather than have to go through all of that, I would almost prefer that if it's going to move forward, that it do so on its own outside of the consent agenda, so that allows it to then come up and be discussed if there's a discussion, or if by the time we get to the council meeting, no contact's been made and no one shows up, we can just pull it and move on past it.
When you want to move past it altogether?
Yeah, versus having to put it on a consent and then have to go through the whole, I'm going to pull it off, now we're going to deny it, now, or vice versa.
We can put it on, it doesn't have to be on consent agenda, we can move it, that's fine.
Thank you.
Mr. Burgess?
Yeah, as the maker of the motion, that's fine with me.
And fine with the second? Okay, everybody clear on process? Okay. Any final comments? All in favor of the motion? Aye. Motion carries. Tab 11.
Mayor, tab 11 is Shabbat of Homestead, Cutler Bay, which...
I'll agree to pay that $200 on their behalf. And so we just, no need to talk about it. Sorry. Tab 12.
The Homestead Rodeo Association Martin Luther King Parade and Movie in the Park is requesting that mayor and council authorize the city manager to approve waiver of $5,000 bond and may likewise waive the other costs and fees described herein for the annual Homestead Rodeo Association Martin Luther King Parade and Movie in the Park. $2,532.61 road closure fees, estimated costs $255 banner on Chrome Avenue, $150 Blakey Park. According to the city's code, Chapter 20, 20-11, fees and charges, the city council sets fees and has the right to waive parks and recreation fees by a majority vote. These organizations have requested to waive the usage fees in the past. Currently, city staff, city attorney, and Parks and Rec chairwoman are working on a waiver of fee policy to be brought to council in February. These organizations are time sensitive, therefore we would like to move forward and waive the usage fees.
I'll move that, Mayor.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions from council? These are our signature events. This is a discussion we've had over and over again. They're here. You guys don't need to come up. I think everybody's in favor of the cause. Final questions, final comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 13.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to purchase 25 computer workstations from CDWG. This purchase is made in accordance with the National Joint Powers Alliance number 111309-CDW. The purchase was approved under CIP number 509 for a total cost of $37,365 for system packages including the computer system, monitors, mice, keyboards, and 4-year warranty.
Is there moved and seconded? Questions from council, anyone? This is an ongoing event. We always buy an equipment, computer-wise, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 14.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that the mayor and city council approve ITB number 2014-19 to 3 qualified bidders. Cayman Industrial Technologies, doing business as Florida Bearing, Dunright Pumps, Inc., and Condo Electric Motor Repair. The services covered by this agreement are shared between electric utilities, public works, water wastewater division, and water wastewater treatment plant. The bid award will replace an expired agreement for pump and electric motor repairs. This agreement will be used to repair or rewind motors and repair pumps used in the power plant for auxiliary equipment. It will also allow for upgrades to prolong the life of our 75 lift stations throughout the city and for equipment repair located at various city sites.
Questions? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Oh, the next page is blank.
Yay.
Yay. Any business anyone want to bring up, talk about? Otherwise, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor, motion's adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah,